Bro.
How's it going, Psych Athletes? Coming back to you with another episode. This would be episode number 6, and we're super excited to talk to you guys today. We're going to be talking about how a lot of pro athletes get in the zone and how amateur athletes can replicate that. So that would be super interesting to talk about today. And I have Parker and Mitchell here with me.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like today, when it comes to just like the zone, right? We always talk about like the mystical zone. It's like it's funny. Like everybody knows what we're talking about when we say the zone. Like every single athlete has been there, whether or not like it's been for a long period of time, which hopefully you have been, or if it's just like these little stints and you're just trying to always get back to that. And it's like, dude, it's like when you're in that little mystical spot in space, it's like you can't lose. You feel so unstoppable, just so much confidence, and with that it just propels you to do
you gotta turn that off, man.
Bro, you gotta turn this off. Bro, you gotta get down. I mean, we can't just be answering phone calls in all of our podcasts, bro.
My mom texted me.
What'd you say?
Is the Wi-Fi working? I broke my router last week, by the way.
Yeah, your mom needs to start gaming.
What do
I broke my mom's router. Let's be more clear on that.
Yeah, guys, don't play video games.
But yeah, I was reading this article earlier, and this is how we got the inspiration for this topic today.
Yeah, do you want to tell them where you found it?
It's a Red Bull article.
You know the drink?
Yeah, the drink. Red Bull article. Might not be the craziest, like most credible. I've never read a Red Bull article, but this one was actually really cool because it talks about like cyclists. It takes cyclists, for example, and it talks about how do professional cyclists get into, and this is what they call, dude, you are full of interruptions today. This is what like these cyclists call.
Before we get into this article, I want to like know, because I just kind of like put my aspect of the zone like in my own words. What is like the zone to you guys? And like when have you felt like you were in it?
I've never had a name for my zone. I always just called it
the cool zone.
The zone. But I know after reading and doing all this research, there's like a million different names of what people call it, and there's a million different ways of how you can get into the zone. I know if you guys
what's the feeling that you've felt when you're inside of it?
It's like you don't have any thoughts running through your mind. That's the best way I can describe it. I feel like that's
how a lot of people would describe it.
I didn't have it so much with sports, but like with lifeguarding, like if I'm about to go on a rescue and like go swim under these like 10-foot waves, there's nothing going through my mind, and the only times that I've had things going through my mind is when things have gone wrong for me in the water.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting.
But did the things that go wrong happen after you start having these weird thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll go into it clear-headed in my zone. I'll just call my zone the cool zone. And then I'll hit the water, and then like something will happen, or it won't go to plan, and then I'll start thinking.
Yeah.
That's pretty specific long term, because I know like if you're an athlete, if you're a track athlete, if you're a swimmer, you're a baseball player, it's very quick, and you don't have a lot of time to think.
So like for baseball, for me, it was like
it's like one.
Dude, it didn't even feel like I was in my body.
Exactly.
Like it feels like I remember like whenever you got a good hit, it felt like you were already running to first base. You don't even remember what the hell happened.
But if you think of like any cross country athletes out there, and we're gonna have our friend Brody on. He's a really, really experienced collegiate athlete. It's completely different for them because the races are way longer and they have way more time to be in their head. And they have way more time. So it's a different zone for different sports for sure.
I know when you mentioned lifeguarding, I'm like thinking like the states that you have to put yourself in have to be so different and so dramatic at each time, because at one moment you could be talking to somebody who like needs you like medical assistance right on the beach, and then another time you have to be in a completely different state where you have to be swimming for like you have to be like straddling water for an hour or some shit like that, right? Like the best athletes are able to get in and out of states, I feel like very quickly. So what's some of the things that we know that can get them in and out of those states? Like what do you do personally? Because you'll be sitting up in your tower, right, just leaning back.
Well, I feel I'm never even out of the zone, to be completely honest.
Really?
So like that zone is always in the back of my mind, and I always kind of have like one foot in the zone and like the rest of my body's out. So like the rest of my body I'm focusing on something else, but I have a little part in my mind where I'm in that zone for 8 hours, no matter what. And it's being alert. So it just, I know it doesn't fully apply to sports because sports are way quicker than that, but I feel it can still apply just because you still have that like piece of your brain that's always kind of in the zone, you know, whether that be when you're practicing your weightlifting or you're doing or breathing techniques or meditating.
Yeah.
So. But a lot of sports, So apart from lifeguarding, because this is just a different monster, but
Yeah.
to answer your question, like, it'll probably relate to more, like athletes that like go through like competition. But I'm reading this article, and I just want to talk about like one of the strategies that one of these elite cyclists use. Well, first off, they say they have a lot of anxiety. I want to find it right here. Give me a second. So Rachel Atherton, I don't know who that is, but apparently they were like a 5-time mountain bike downhill world champion. So they're very good at biking. And 32 years old, and she says that when describing her anxiety, like before a game, she gets physically ill. So she says that the nerves get on top of me. I have doubts, voices in my head, and I feel kind of useless. I need a routine to really apply myself. And before I know it, I'm ready to go. So like her, like a lot of people get physically ill. I definitely got physically ill. Like before games, I'm like, I got a shit. Like
Dude,
everyone,
I'd shit every
like
single game.
Poops.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like the nervous poops. And everybody's always like, well, it's good that you're nervous before games, right? It's good that you're nervous before games because that means you care. And I feel like a lot of people really believe that. And I know, like, I feel like we have different opinions in that too, because I don't believe that at all. Like, I think if you're nervous before a game, yeah, it means you care, but there's a point where if you're so stressed out about something, like you're caring about something so much that you end up doing worse. Like, have you guys ever presented in like school or like in work or something like that, and you had a lot riding on it? Like you did like a class presentation, and then
and it never goes how you want it.
And then it never goes how you want it. Like when I was in college, I dropped out after my first semester to like do work stuff, and I remember going to me and my roommate, we enrolled in like a dance class, and we enrolled in a dance class because we thought we were gonna meet a bunch of chicks. And then I think every other guy had that same exact notion because the class was like all dudes. And so I was doing like this weird this presentation on dancing, and I was already gonna drop out, so it didn't really matter, and I was never good at presenting. And then like when I started to do it because I didn't care, because it didn't matter for me, I did way better, right? And it's like those nerves beforehand, it's like overthinking, like what you were saying about cross country, like the 100 meter versus the 400 meter.
Yeah.
What were you saying about that earlier?
Well, kind of what I mean by that is you have a smaller window to not be thinking about something. So compared to the 100 meter to the 400 meter, in the 100 meter, you're probably not going to be thinking a whole lot during your race, but before the race, the build up to that is going to be a lot greater than the 400 meter, because in the 100 meter race, you have a way, way smaller window for air. So there's a lot more things to be,
Let me touch on that, because back to first what you said about not caring. Like, obviously, like, athletes are going to care. You can't tell them, oh, like, if I was a kid and I was waiting for a game, I can't just be like, oh, I don't care about this game. Like, how is that ever going to happen for a kid?
Yeah.
Unless he genuinely does not care. So how a lot of people cope with their anxiety is by developing a routine and putting themselves into the zone. So that's to answer your question about that. And what you're saying about how long like people have before games, then that anxiety build up. So this dude has this method. Let me see here. Getting into the zone. So this talks about routines and whatnot. And this guy's name is Tom Pidcock. No, I don't want to use Tom Pidcock. Oh, okay. So he does. It is Tom Pidcock. So what he does, because a lot of times, like, you'll get to a game, right? You know, I'll get to a game. I remember getting to games early, and I'd just sit there and be like thinking about the game nonstop. And the longer you think, like what you said, it's true. The longer you think and the longer you prepare and you rack your brain over what's going to happen later, the worse you're going to do. That's what happens.
Yeah.
If you put too much, because the longer you have to put pressure on yourself, the more pressure is going to be on yourself when the game starts. So what he does, and this is really interesting because this is directly related, is on race day, he arrives at the venue of a race a few minutes behind schedule. So he's like, he has to get to the race, and he only has one thing on mind, and that's the race, because that's all he can afford to focus on. He doesn't have that time to overthink everything and like think about what's going to happen. All that's on his mind is competing. 4 minutes being behind schedule. So I thought that was really cool, and a lot of people, like a lot of these elite athletes, have ways of managing that anxiety. You can't. I disagree with you, because you probably think that you can just be like, oh, I don't care about this game, I'm going to play better now.
Yeah.
Athletes can't do that, dude.
I think it's a matter of not caring. It's a matter of intent plus freedom of outcome. So when your intention is to win, right? We're going to talk about very, very soon of how, usually when you overthink things, that's when you're out of the zone and you really want to start focusing on one singular thing. Okay, but when you have an intent on that one singular thing that we're going to talk about, whether it's an intention on winning, an intention, and that's probably the best one that we can come up with. When you have that intention, but you're also carefree of the outcome, you will perform better. And it's a catch-22. Like, it's nice to be like, yeah, people aren't gonna be carefree about it, right? But if it's gonna help you it's gonna help you perform better, then I think athletes will do that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes in what you're doing before your game or your meet.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy says, this is a really cool article. His name's Vikram Chib. He studies at Johns Hopkins University, and he actually said that if you come prepared with the amount of resources and then you face a task and you have the resources to face that task, then you're going to perform a lot better. So pretty much what he means by that, so if you were doing any sort of like pre-mental warm-up, any like meditations or breathing works, and then you come to your game or your meet and you're faced with this great task, whether it's like you're in like the bottom of the ninth and you have to hit like this grand slam or whatever, you're going to be way more capable if you have those resources in your brain.
That's more talking about preparation, meaning work, like physical, if you train.
No, this is mentally.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Can you say it again?
Yeah. So pretty much what he says is when athletes start to worry about how they'll perform or if they will make a mistake, they're most likely to choke. And then he adds on to that, if you come prepared with resources.
Like mental strategies.
Yeah, he doesn't list any out, obviously, but
but I think that's what a lot of people are lacking. And the thing is, the reason why these elite athletes are so successful is because they can get in and out of that zone. Like you said, they have these strategies that work for them, but a lot of strategies don't work for a lot of people. A lot of people don't have strategies, and I think if you had a strategy, it's better than no strategy. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and the examples that we can come up with right now, right, are basically like the whole philosophies behind psych athletes within the subconscious releasing the stuff that's happened from your past that is holding you back from performing at your peak potential. There's bioenergetics that you can do. There's EFT tapping, which we're going to do a bunch of videos on that, where you can you tap these weird energy centers on your face. It's kind of a form of acupuncture, but luckily you don't have to use needles. And there's energy blockages that you actually have in these meridian points, and it's very scientifically proven. It's a lot of Eastern philosophy as well. They can release a lot of this built-up energy and like stress and stuff. So it's meditating, it's doing types of exposure stuff, and that's what really our podcast is about. Like, I like how everybody's like, you need to have a pre-game, like it's these rituals, it's these routines.
It's definitely a common denominator.
And they're very sacred too. I feel like they're very sacred to athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's finding the one that works for you. And what we found is like these specific meditations to get you like into that mystical zone. And I think that's like what this whole podcast and this whole experience that you guys are going to be with us. You guys are learning that.
Going back to what you said on you said the freedom of outcome. So this guy's strategy, his name's Kai White, World Cup winner in BMX Supercross, whatever that means. He says his thought process, because he's like a really hyped guy. Like a lot of people have high expectations of him, and this is how he manages it. He says, "I just say be chill, be happy, and try to keep the nerves away by listening to music. I tell myself it's BMX, it's not the end of the world." So that's essentially like freedom of outcome. Like he's not gonna die if he loses this, and that's definitely like a beneficial thought process, probably to have. And like what you said earlier, I really liked what you said earlier. It was about what did you say?
Probably like something about whatever's riding on it. You know, like if you have a higher expectation or if you have
you said
a higher consequence of doing bad or doing good.
Yeah, no. It was the way wasn't it a study? A psychiatric study, and you said that the biggest thing in successful athletes was thinking about what your goal was as something that is being taken away from you.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, so if
was super interesting.
Yeah, so if you frame it as a gain rather than a loss, then athletes are expected to perform much better.
No, you said if you frame it as a loss rather than a gain, they'll perform much better. Because if you're taking something away from an athlete, isn't that a loss from the athlete?
No, so I mean, there's a major study that's been done where it's like...
Isn't that what he said?
Let me pull it up here.
Okay, so say in business or in sales, right? There's a CEO, and he says to his employee, all right, I'm going to give you a Ferrari if every single month you can produce $50,000 in sales.
You think you have that Ferrari, right?
Well, if you continue to perform like $50,000 in sales, you think you have it, right? Because he gives it to you. You will every single month get $50,000 in sales because you don't want the feeling of loss. You want the feeling of gain.
Did I get that backwards?
Oh, is that?
I
think it's backwards.
Did I do right? It's gain rather than loss.
Right.
Because if you're presented this $100,000 Ferrari and you think of it as, oh my God, I'm gonna lose this, like it's slipping out of the grasp of my hand.
Exactly.
I have it backwards.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So us as human beings, like we're really, we don't like losing. We don't like our loss aversion. But if you were to say, hey, employee, I'm going to give you this Ferrari if you make $50,000 in sales every month, you are way less likely to ever make $50,000 that month. It's kind of crazy. And like another thing is when these salespeople or these people like will go out and they'll be in certain areas or districts and they'll start making like $10,000 or something every single month. Like their boss will say, okay, I want to expand your reach and you get more and more areas, but for some reason they get stuck at $10,000 a month. It's because they have like these limiting beliefs, like these fears of success that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. It's like, oh, I can only make this amount of money. So in parallel to sports, it's like, oh, I can only throw this amount of touchdown passes.
I'm never going to reach my goal.
Oh, I'm never, this is me, this is my identity. I can't break through that. And so when you have that in your subconscious, that's like what limits you.
Yeah. If you operate under the assumption that your goal is already attained, like you have it, but someone else can take that away from you, you're probably performing with much more confidence because you're like, this is mine. Like I won this game already. I'm good enough. I hit that. Yeah. I hit that ball. I made that shot already.
Yeah.
Like, and if someone threatens to take that away, you're inherently operating with more confidence.
Yeah, it's cool too because it applies to the top athletes in every single sport too. Like I read an article that detailed like Michael Phelps' road to success in his 2012 Olympic victories, and it actually said that he suffered from severe depression right after his 2012 Olympic like winnings, and like this dude's got like 23 medals, you know. But it's cool because it also applies like literally the people, and like you can apply this to the best kid on like your football team if you're high school now. Like these. If you're at the top level, fear of success, I mean, it's not as widely prevalent because not every person who participates in their sport is the best at it. But the people who do reach the highest goal, they still have these like crazy limiting beliefs that can completely destroy their whole career.
Yeah, we should really get Michael Phelps on the podcast soon.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude,
I'll just call him up right now.
Yeah, we'll call him up. I feel like that too is a lot of. Like, once I reach this goal... Oh, yeah. Hey, Lochte, you want to go rob a gas station? I feel like a lot of athletes, too, it's like, once I reach this goal, then I'm going to be happy. And it's like, dude, I feel like he probably his entire life was like, dude, once I get this...
Yeah.
And he accomplished more than, like, anybody else, and then he probably ended up, he's like, whoa, this is it? Like, this is it?
Yeah.
And, like, that probably made him go into an absolute downward spiral, too. It's like... living for the future versus living in the moment and being able to like be very present. I feel like that's with meditation as well.
For sure.
But I'd love to dive into his actual routine of things like that.
He's got a crazy story.
Just like a couple Subway sandwiches a day.
Fucking 18 gold medals.
That's all it
Boom.
takes.
Yeah, seriously.
Boom. But I can't help but think about like when we were talking about not freedom outcome, it was fear of loss or whatever it was. Like LeBron, like you have LeBron, right? And he has title expectations every year. He in his mind is probably like, I already have the title under my belt.
Yeah.
It's up to someone else to take it away from me. I mean, you can like if you have the confidence to say that I already won the NBA championship and I won the NBA finals, you will probably perform your best.
Yeah. Well,
ever.
Dude,
and he did.
That's where you want to be in life, right? But realistically, most people, if they're trying to get to that spot, there's no way that they can be. And so that's where like the law of attraction and manifestation comes into play, where you want to embody that character and that persona. Like you want to embody whoever it is that you want to become. Like there's a cool quote that's basically live as if your prayers have already been answered. Like, stop wanting for things, embody that person, and then once you embody that person, you're gonna you're gonna take on those characteristics. It's like you have a fucking vision of it already happening, and it's like, okay, this is already happening. I just have to go through the process.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the fear of loss stuff is super crazy too. Like LeBron, and not only that, but all the expectations of like the other players and the coaches, and then also we talked about this earlier. Like, dude's got like 50 million Instagram followers too. So
what's easier, do you think, to perform? If you're performing under like, and you're saying, damn, NBA championship, that's fucking hard. I have to go get that. It's gonna be tough to get there. Or you're thinking like LeBron and you're saying, that's mine already.
Yeah.
It's like operating from here and then operating from here.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing, and like you can apply this to high school athletes too. It's like you have this reputation, like you have this image that you're embodying, like I'm a baseball player and like I'm this good at baseball. But like when
I have the starting spot already.
Exactly.
I have it. Do you want to be the guy that's saying, I have the fucking starting spot, I'm up here, or do you want to say the guy, damn, I have to go get to that starting spot? Like that's fucking tough. I have to beat this guy. I have to beat this guy.
It's abundance versus scarcity. We talk about all the time.
Yeah, and whether
you talk about a lot. You say it good too.
Yeah, and like whether you're like physically able to get that top spot, just having that type of mentality from the get-go is going to propel you to perform way better if you had a fear of loss attitude.
So like getting down to it, what is it that they can, like the athletes now, whether you're an athlete listening or you're a parent, like what can you do immediately to use some of these things that we're talking about? So first of all, loss aversion, right? We understand that losing things is going to make you way more motivated. So maybe you can set a boundary for yourself. You can give yourself like a certain gift or something like that. Like every night you're able to do something or whatever. And then if you aren't able to perform to the goals and the vision that you set for yourself, you lose it, right? So that's an example of something they can immediately do. Another example of what they can immediately do for like the embodiment process, right? Where it's like you were saying, we want to be able to live at that level, right? Where we're already at the top. Is visualization, right? And we've talked about visualization before on the podcast. And the most important thing for visualization that I can tell you guys, because you guys have probably heard people being like, yo, you guys need to visualize, you need to do this, you need to do that, right? The most important thing that you have to do when you're visualizing is you have to consider your 5 senses, okay? So you have to visualize with your taste, touch, smell, hearing, and then sight. So you're visualizing, you're seeing a future outcome and future event that you are desiring, that you want to happen in your life, and you visualize it, and you're hearing the crowd screaming your name. You're seeing and you're smelling whatever it is, right? So that's what our mind can get into with visualization of things to actually manifest. So
Mind's
just
a powerful thing.
Very quick, short things you guys can start doing right now.
And it's definitely easier than physical aspects of sports, 100%. Mind is something that you can be good at. Like off the rip, like it's hard to get good at a sport. Everyone knows that. Like you need to train your ass off, but it's not easy controlling your thoughts, controlling your mind, but you can get there much faster. And that's most of the game. And if you can conquer that aspect of the game, boom, you're already way better player than you were.
Dude, so there's this there's this quote that's basically the enemy of the great is the good. Because if you're already good, right, you're not going to need to like look into all of the stuff that's going to propel you to be great. So what's funny is on our YouTube channel, what's that say? Movie recording has been stopped automatically. What the fuck, dude? Why does this keep happening?
I don't know. Do you have another battery?
Yeah, I have another battery. I think it's the SD card. All right, guys. Our thing went off once again. So I'm going to fix it once again. So stick with me. But I'm going to just like actually keep talking about this because it's really cool. The enemy of the great is the good. And so on our YouTube channel, if you can see, Ryan has a video of when he was like, when you were probably
13.
You were probably 13 years old.
It was the best highlight video you're probably ever going to see. Go ahead and go watch it.
It has like, dude, it has like 150,000 views. Like, I don't know how. So he made that when he was 13 and like, considering baseball, like Dustin Pedroia and Mookie Betts, right? They're super small guys. But Mookie Betts is considerably the best athlete in all of sports, right? And Ryan can make that argument all day because he's a big Red Sox fan, okay? I can say it's not because I don't like the Red Sox, but I'll give him that for right now for my argument. So, these guys, they were never great, right? They weren't the greats. They were they
Mookie
weren't.
was
Excuse
pretty
me.
good.
Excuse me. They were the goods. They were the goods. But it propelled them to be great to work on that other stuff. Like I know Dustin Pedroia's story is a little different. Like he went to community college, and then
No, he went to ASU off the bat.
he went to ASU off the bat.
Yeah, he's played all 4 years.
I thought he wasn't that good.
He was a beast in high school. The thing was, he was 5'1".
He was 5'1".
Wow.
Yeah. He's
Here, keep
5'1".
talking. I'm gonna try to fix
His
this camera.
but Dustin Pedroia, his senior year was 5'1".
His senior in high school?
Yeah.
He was 5'1".
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Dustin, he also played basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the best player on his
That's
team.
amazing.
The thing is with that, I guess you could kind of still use it, is because they have that motivating factor, that they're smaller guys.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't think Mookie's a good example because he's just good at fucking everything.
I mean, well, that's like.
he's good at everything.
But the Dustin Pedroia thing, like, that's a good example though, because people use either like people have a plethora of reasons why they push past that good to great,
Exactly.
and they use their size.
Their size,
some other
height,
yeah.
physical disadvantages, maybe emotional disadvantages,
Yeah,
maybe something's
exactly.
happened in their life, maybe they come from bad background, from poverty. There's always that motivating factor that puts it, like what you said, that pushes the good to the great.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if you're already good, like what you said, what do you have to play for?
Mm-hmm.
Is to be great. And that part is hard to manifest by yourself.
Yeah.
If you're a good player, it's hard to be like, no, I don't want to be good. I want to be great. What's pushing you to do that?
Yeah.
It's only yourself. And a lot of people
Exactly.
don't have that motivation to start
That's
with.
where it's like it's good to have a little trauma in your
Exactly.
life. Like it's good to have a little chip on your shoulder, something like that. Because if you were just to like live life already like good, right, you have nothing to motivate you to become great, like Ryan was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get spit on it.
I had like a pretty big problem with doing that growing up, like, and even now, honestly, like, I'll get to a certain level at something, like I'll get good at something very quickly. I've always been able to like visualize things. And video games.
Yeah,
pretty
you're
bad
good
example.
at
Oh, I thought you said
Overwatch, but you're not the
visual.
best.
I'm not.
I thought you said visual gains, not
No,
video games. Yo,
No,
visual
like
gains.
I'm a
man,
good visual
they-
learner, and I'm able to watch something and then be able to recreate it. But I always get to a
He
certain
is
point
good. He is
in,
good. I
like-
can attest to that, though.
in like physical sense. But I get to a point where I get good, and then I don't want to push past the good to be great because like, what's the point?
Yeah,
But for
dude.
you guys out there, and you're in high school right now, and you're good, there should be a huge motivating factor there, and you need to.
How
break
can
down-
we
I mean-
bring that out?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're playing on your high school team, you're probably good. Like, you have the skills and you have enough to reach the next level, right? And it's like a lot of times we put these limiting factors on us. Like, for me, I was always super short in high school, right? I wasn't 5'1" my senior year, though, like Dustin Pedroia, and he probably didn't have those limiting beliefs that I did, where I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, I'm only 5'8" or something like this. I can't do this because of my height, or I can't do this because I'm skinny or something like that, right?
Yeah, for me, I would always get to a level, and then I'd look at everybody else, and I'd be like, holy crap, there's like 70,000 other people in the United States who are this much faster than me. What's the point?
Yeah.
That was always my limiting factor.
And
So a lot of people don't believe that they can make it to the next level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, we were at the beach one day, and it was me, you, Mitchell, and Aaron. Or no, I didn't know you back then. It was me, you, Chase, and Aaron, and we were standing in a circle. And Chase is like, "Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have fun with baseball. Like, I'm not gonna go to the major leagues." And I'm like, "I'm gonna go to the major league. I'm gonna play big league baseball. Like, that's what I want to do." And I think that like helped me work harder. And it helped me be better, and it helped me get to the next level. A lot of people don't even believe they can do that in begin with. They say, that'd be nice, but, like, I can't get that. But that's the thing where people go wrong. They can fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the desire, but maybe
Dude,
they
it's
do.
conditioning in people's mind where it's just like, oh, this is too hard. I'm not going to be able to do it. It's parents saying, what's your backup plan?
Yeah,
Exactly,
what are you going to
dude.
do
Like,
in
what's-
life?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be a baseball player. Okay, what are you really going to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, they're not trying to shit on you, right? But
They're just being
they're
realistic.
trying to be realistic. They've gone through their own personal experiences. And a lot of the times, like, I'm sorry parents watching this, but like, if you are not the role, if your kid is looking to you and you are not the person that he wants to become, you should not be their mentor. Like, you should find them the person that he wants to be. Find those mentors and put them in that person's life. If you're a kid and you're listening to a parent who is not where you want to be and you don't respect that parent, don't listen to him. Like, everybody always listens to people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking
And they
about.
listen to people that believe that they couldn't do it, so you can't do it.
Exactly. Listen to the people who have actually made it and who have actually done it. Like, listen to the people where you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, and your perspective on life is absolutely going to change.
So if you want to be in doing podcasts with your best buds, listen to us.
Go ahead and do it.
So
like,
don't listen to us. If you
there's
logic's kind of flawed here, but
there's kind of a fine line though. You don't want to be delusional to a certain point. You know what I mean? It's like,
dude,
no,
I feel
that's-
like I'd want to be delusional.
exactly. That's how the good become great. Is by being delusional.
No,
And
I
no
know,
one's
but
gonna
the
be
good-
like,
I know,
okay, look at me. If you saw me in high school and I was just like your average baseball player, you would call me delusional for thinking that I can get to the big leagues.
I'm saying
you
I'm
wouldn't,
talking
but
about
the people that you're talking about would have been like, think realistically. Guess what? Do you think if I thought realistic, do you think if I'm not gonna use Steve Jobs, fuck monopolies, I'm gonna think about if you said Michael Jordan, you're not gonna be. What was I saying? Michael Jordan. Think realistically. And Michael Jordan's like, you know what? I probably should. You know, I got kicked off my team. I probably should think realistically.
Well,
I'm not going to make the NBA.
Get kicked off.
I'm not going to
get kicked off.
Okay, whatever. That's a myth. Sure. But do you think someone looked at MJ back in high school and was like, you're going to be in the NBA? They probably said, think realistically, Michael. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then he's like, fuck. I got to think about college. You think if Mike said, I'm going to think about college, he'd be the greatest basketball player of all time? Sorry, LeBron James fans.
No.
Exactly.
But I'm talking...
What you talking about, bro?
I'm talking about
what you talking about?
Physicality?
In a physicality sense. If you're like a freshman in college, and you are like honestly not good, I think there is a certain point.
No. Because that player's never gonna be where he wants to be if he thinks like
that.
Dude,
okay, so look, dude, but the thing is, if you have that desire, like if it's really what you want to do, then fuck it, be delusional your entire life. If that's what's gonna make you happy. Like, if that's what's going to make you happy and other people, like, bring you down, like, at least you actually had the balls to do it.
Yeah, in the pursuit of happiness, 100%.
What I don't want to do on this podcast is tell people to be realistic.
Exactly. I don't want to do that either.
I don't want to say,
I think we need, guys,
you're freshman in college.
I think we need to kick Mitch out.
Yeah, get out. Get the fuck out.
Mitch
is a walking limiting belief.
I'm the realistic Andy here.
Realistic Rob.
Every time you guys think you're gonna do something good, I'm gonna fucking knock you back down.
Dude,
baby.
all the coaches came to our podcast again after listening to the last one, and they're like, fuck these guys. They're looking at Mitch, and they're like, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, get the fuck.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's connecting with your coach right now.
Coaches are gonna
despise us.
Yeah, they are.
Despise
completely.
us.
But I mean, they're the problem, though.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna despise us, or are they gonna look at us and be like, man, I wish I was them.
A smart coach would.
Man, I wish I was.
A smart coach would accept criticism. What's the common thing with coaches though? They don't like being wrong. No one likes being wrong. That's the number one thing in the world. No one likes being wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So if a coach tells, I'm gonna bring it back to sports. If a coach tells you, you need to fix something, like if you keep doing what you're doing, you're not gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to be wrong. Imagine you start doing good, but you're not doing what he wants you to do. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, dude.
I've seen it happen.
Plus, they are delusional themselves in a bad way,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what we were talking about yesterday, where it's like somebody could get on a 1-game streak, and this coach could have a bias towards them because they told them, "Hey, fix your arm and your stance," or "Hey, kick the ball differently," and they do it, and then they succeed, and they're like, "Man, I did it. I did this. I made this person." They play him.
So how do we fight that? If we're an athlete and your coach tells you to do something that you know won't work, do you fucking do it? Like, think about it. Like, your coach doesn't want to be wrong. Unless you start if I always make baseball references. I'm sorry. I'm going to make a basketball reference. If your coach says you have a hitch in your shot, and you're like, no, I fucking don't. I work with blah, blah, blah. I work with, that dude in 2K, he makes jump shots. But I work with this guy. I don't do that, coach. And you keep shooting the way you, whatever, lethal shooting. And you shoot, lights out in practice. And your coach is like, okay, fine, I'll fucking play you. But if you know that it's working, and your coach wants you to do something else, and you don't do it, now your coach looks at you badly. He's not going to play you later, so what the fuck do you do?
It's so bad, too, because that's such an old head mentality, too, dude. It's so bad. You get these kids who are actually working, and, working hard and doing stuff correct, and you get this old head who comes on, I didn't tell you to, fix your hit, your hitch in your shot like that. What? But you're draining threes all day. And they're like, nah, you're doing it's such a bad take.
Dude, anything I'm thinking new in sports is better. Everything new in sports, just because technology, how we understand our body, analytics, like body development, sports development, leaning towards like technology and all that stuff, it's better. It's going to be better. And guess who hates that? Like coaches, old heads. They don't want that shit in the game.
Yeah, because they won the state championships back in 1975.
Exactly. That's in my
why
day,
would I
this
change?
is how we did it.
There's this quote by I think it's not Carl Jung. It's someone like that. Where
I was listening to a podcast about him today.
Oh really? I love. He's really interesting.
Jordan Peterson.
So yeah, dude. I'd love to. Yeah, we'll have Jordan Peterson on the podcast one day.
No, we will not. No, we will not.
No, it's a quote that says, "Everything popular is wrong." Like everything popular is wrong, and it makes sense because it's like whether it's fucking being happy or whether it's fucking getting to the next level in your sport, sports. Right? Only 99, only 1%, less than the 1% are able to do that, and it's because everything popular, everything that is popularized by major media, by coaches, and it's like it is also like growing and developing, right? And coaches being behind everything popular is wrong.
Yeah, dude. And if everything popular was right, it would be that meme where society,
It's like,
beautiful skyscrapers. If every money making scheme, everything they told you in business school, whether sports, if everything they told you in sports was correct, everyone would be playing professional sports.
And that's why it's not like we're gonna have a shit ton of viewers listening to our podcast immediately, right? Because like
it's so polarized.
The people listening to this right now, like you guys are actually listening to shit that's going to help you, and that other people would be like wouldn't take the time to learn and would be like, well, you know what, I've been watching fucking Barstool Sport, or I'll watch entertainment value instead of get the real shit that's gonna help them in their everyday life, whether it's athletics or living a better life, fulfilling life, peace of mind, right, in your sport.
I guess the big thing to take away, if there's something to take away, is like from all these limiting beliefs around you, all these people telling you this is what you have to do, this is how you have to get in the zone, like, and they're ignoring the mental side, they're doing all this, they're overloading your brain with information. If there's one thing to do, it's take everything you accumulate from all these people with a grain of salt. You take it with a grain of salt, because more often than not, they're going to be wrong, and they're not going to be doing it the right way.
Sir Richard Branson has a cool quote where he's like, listen, take the best, and then leave the rest. Like it, and especially like sometimes don't even fucking argue with them. Like,
exactly.
Just
you don't have to waste your time with these.
You don't have to waste your time.
People that, let me say, your parents are like, okay, kid, you gotta look in the future. You gotta be like, what are you gonna do with this? You could be like, sure, maybe I do have to consider doing something, but that doesn't mean that I can't get to the next level. I can't go to college. I can't be a pro player.
Yeah.
Right. And when it comes to like mindset and stuff, having that confidence, your coach is going to be like, you're not a starting player right now. You have to take that with a grain of salt. Maybe I'm not, but that does not mean that I'm never going to be. I have to operate under the assumption that this is mine. I need to get in the zone every day. I need to take it.
And that's like where that delusion comes in, where it's like we're talking about manifesting, and you're like, your coach says you're not a starting player. Like, you can listen to him and you can listen to that, right? But in the back of your head, you have to be like, fuck no, I am the starting player. I'm the best player on this fucking team. You don't have to say it out loud, but you can feel it. Like, you have to feel it internally yourself, and that's what's going to propel you. Because if you take you're not a starting player on this team, what's going to happen? You're just going to not be a starting player on this team.
It's like questioning authority, dude. It's like, don't be fucking scared.
What's that thing?
Don't be scared to, if your coach says some dumb shit and you know it's dumb, like, don't be scared to question him. Or it's question your mind, or at least take it.
It's also like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, it's like if he says...
what's the worst that can happen if you call out your coach in front of everybody? What's the worst that could happen?
He's going to make you run.
He's going to make you run. And then you're going to look back at that in a couple of years, and you're going to be like, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done.
And then maybe even immediately you're like, I'm free.
Exactly.
I'm not listening to this.
And you can take that into every avenue of your life, too. You should always be questioning authority and backing it up with actual factual.
What's that thing with questioning authority? It's like, if you question authority, your IQ's higher or something. There's some study. It's people that ask questions when they're young. Maybe you don't ask questions now. Doesn't mean you're not smart. But we need to, like, as a society and everything,
we
sports,
need to be questioning,
everything,
is this right?
Especially with our fucking, like, government and shit. Bro, you need to question everything. You need to. And that's the only way you're going to grow. You're not going to, like, become better in sports if you're sitting there and listening to what all your bum coaches are telling you. Like, you're fucking Johnny, 40 years old, coaching your high school team. He didn't go shit in sports, and he's telling you that this is the right way to do it, and that he's been doing it for so long. Guess what? It's not the right way to do it.
Yeah, if you're listening to everything that's popular, you're not going to be able to get to the next level where you want to be. Like, it's fine. Like, find what it is that, like, there's, like Ryan's saying and what, like, Mitch is saying, like, question authority. Find what it is that works for you.
Exactly.
Find what works for you and use it.
This all needs to be customized to for what's gonna best benefit you.
Yeah, and coming full circle, all these people, like we're reading, they have these strategies to get them in the zone that give them the best success. And that's not going to be forever. Like, your coach is not going to be able to tell you what's going to work in your mind before a game. Like, that's not going to happen. Your coach doesn't know. And if he says he does, give him the bird. But, like, if he says that, ignore him. We need to, as, like, athletes, we need to figure out every day what works for us. If you have a bad day, say, okay, I'm not going to do that again in my mind. If you have a good day, then you're like, okay, I'm going to go back to that. Yeah. I want to use that again. People, like, all these elite athletes, I guarantee you, Mookie Betts, Kobe, fucking my MJ, LeBron, they all have these ways of getting in the zone. Michael Jordan even said he had anxiety before games. The greatest basketball player in the history of the NBA said he had anxiety before games. And he said when the tip-off started, maybe it was that tip-off, he locked in. Everyone has their own thing.
Yeah.
All right?
And, like, the light at the end of the tunnel, because, like, we've been talking about all the shit, right? We've been talking about, like, all the pain that these athletes have felt, that each of us have felt, right? The light at the end of the tunnel is like understanding the subconscious mind. And we've been mentioning a couple of times, you might have heard us, where we're saying limiting beliefs, negative beliefs. And you might not know what those are. And that's okay, because as you listen to the podcast more, we're going to be talking about it and diving extremely deep on why these things are holding you back. And the light at the end of the tunnel, which we're saying, is there's actually a way to release these things to start to be able to be more confident in your games and get into that zone. So I think that's probably the best way we can end it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just stay tuned for the more episodes, and we're going to be teaching you guys how to go into the subconscious.
Yeah.
Click the links below. ASMR.
Peace.
This is my favorite part of the podcast.
Adios. It's just like this prolonged goodbye.
I think you have to flip off the camera again. That needs to be our thing.
No, I can't do that every time.
What do you mean?
It has to be someone else.
Oh.
Yeah, that's good. All right.